Welcome to Soul Center. My name is Ariella Halevi, and this is my husband.
I am Baruch Halevi, Rabbi B.
And we're so happy to welcome you to our soul-centered experience. I thought that we would start tonight. A lot of people have asked us, what is soul-centered? What are you guys doing now? We've traveled quite a bit and taken our family to live in Israel. We've lived in Boston. We've kind of lived all over. Now we've settled in Denver. And really, soul-centered is an experience, and I'll explain what it is, but it's a center and an experience and really a dream that B and I have had for over 20 years together. We used to discuss this when we were dating, when we first got married, that one day we would own a center for healing, a center for loss, a center for meaning, and ultimately a center where you can find your soul, where you can literally center your soul. It's a pathway, really, a journey to offer holistic guidance and inspirational experiences. And for all people, all religions, it's Kabbalistic based. But we really are open and hope that we touch everyone and everyone experiences loss at some time in their lives. And most people experience a time in their lives when they need to heal from something, whether it's an illness, whether it's a transition, also a loss, but it affects our bodies. And so we are really here to guide people that need inspiration and meaning and need and want and desire to connect to their souls.
First of all, kudos to Ariella, because I know that the thought of Facebook Live was daunting, and
This is my third.
This is her third. This is, I think, the first one would actually work, because I see some of y'all on there talking to us. And I can only multitask so much, but she's a courageous partner, and so it's exciting. And I guess that's really a good starting point. The word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. Right, and that's really what tonight's theme is. We're going to do a theme, a narrative, kind of a message every week, interwoven, again, as Ariella said, around grief and loss and healing and bringing it all to the soul center. And this week's theme, which I blogged about, we're kind of taking turns blogging. Ariella blogged last week, I blogged this week, and the Soul Center experience, which is what you're participating in now, and I'm going to probably do a Facebook Live tomorrow, and we're also doing the grief experience tomorrow here in Denver at the Mayu Sanctuary. We're very excited about that. Mm-hmm. But our theme is around heart and heart break, heartache. Obviously Valentine's Day is almost upon us tomorrow, and it's a really amazing day if you're in a place where your loved one is with you, if you're together with them, if they're still alive. But many people have lost loved ones, or gone through divorce, or in empty marriages, or just alone. And then these holidays come, and they're not holidays. They're actually painful reminders of what you don't have, right? I guide people through loss all the time, and the holidays are the hardest. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day. And so this is an opportunity to, as I say, flip the script and really define what is the true meaning of Valentine's Day and love and heart and living and leading with your heart. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're going to focus on that because there's a great teaching by Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kutsk, who said that there is nothing more whole than a broken heart. And that's really our mantra and our meditation for tonight. And if this applies to you, and it probably applies to a lot of you, and you're not alone, you're not alone. And you're also not broken. Your heart is. But in fact, maybe that's the pathway to wholeness. And maybe there's a way to reframe Valentine's Day and love and wholehearted living. And that's really our theme for tonight. So with that, I think we'll begin.
Yeah.
Great. So it's informal, just, kind of to put everybody at ease, but I do think it's important to create space. Ariella's created a beautiful space. This is her home office. We have another office here in Denver. It's important to really create a space. So I would just encourage you to kind of just be mindful about your space right now, maybe shutting off the cell phone, right? And giving yourself this opportunity to get into your heart and just, as Ariella always says, feel your feelings. for the next half hour or so. Maybe it means just shutting the door and saying, hey kids, go eat in the basement. That's what we just did. Sorry. But they were just really noisy.
They were really, really noisy.
So hard to focus. But here we are, and here you are. And so it's just an invitation for you to create some sacred space. And so I think we'll just begin, maybe just centering ourselves. You know, you don't have to sit in a full lotus position. I like to, normally, not usually on camera. It's a little awkward, but if I'm alone, I sit in kind of a full lotus or half lotus position and meditate. But you can be also just seated on a chair, just getting grounded, right? One of the Kabbalistic names for the divine, for God, is makom, which means space. And we think of God sometimes out as outer space, out there, or maybe in time. But what about space? So creating some sacred space, taking some deep breaths, really feeling the breath entering into our being, our body, and kind of intersecting with space and time and presence. And here we are. And we're going to chant just a simple word that we've been starting with this word quite often. It's actually taught to me by Wayne Dyer. The word wasn't taught to me. The word is shalom, means hello and goodbye and peace. But he taught me in one of his teachings that it's important because of the om sound. It's the om, chanting in a lot of traditions. And shalom brings everything to center. So when we chant it, we kind of center ourselves. And the word in Hebrew means wholeness. And so we go into the Shalom Chant through centering ourselves, taking some deep breaths, and chanting. Shalom. Shalom.
There's a beautiful quote by Charles Dickens. It says, "Have a heart that never hardens, a temper that never tires, and a touch that never hurts." And so we open our intention, our kavanah this evening, as Baruch said, with this idea that a heart that never hardens is a heart that is broken. And the idea is that to truly love, whether it's a spouse, a child, a parent, anyone, to truly love is to have our hearts so wide open that it could break. But that to not have loved like that is to not to fully experience life. And so with that, we're going to head into a chant. It's a Hebrew chant, and also we're going to place English in it. And the idea is to really reach ourselves up to our souls. And to really...
And I would just say, you can download the words, the soul sheet as we call it. If you go to rabib.com/soul-centered, or you can go to the site, scroll down the page, and there's a download. It says the soul sheet.
Right. So Elohai Neshama literally is to center yourself in your soul, is to acknowledge that we are more than just a body, and our hearts are beating, but the reason why our hearts are beating and our eyes are shining is because we have this beautiful essence inside of us. So we can wake up every morning remembering that another gift of this day is to open our hearts, the opportunity to open our hearts and connect to that essence inside of us. Pure is she in Hebrew. Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Tehorai. Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Tehorai. Last time. Elohai, Neshama, Shenatata bi, Tehorai.
So I chant this most mornings, not every morning, but I've also been using it with clients who are dealing with grief because of the intersection. The word in there, neshama. By the way, hi Jenny, hi Tali. I got Michelle Sherman and some wonderful names from our past and present. We're delighted that you're on with us. When I work with clients going through grief, really talking about the intersection between breath and soul, neshama in Hebrew and neshima is soul and breath, and really just kind of using that as a way to connect. When you're going through grief, you're fragmented, you're disconnected, and so it's a way to come back to the breath, come back to the soul, come back to your center.
And with that, we're going to center ourselves, center our souls by, I'm going to lead you through a guided meditation. So I invite you to sit in that comfortable chair and really, again, like we said, find a comfortable spot for yourself. Find a spot where you can have a moment of silence, if it's possible. Close the door maybe if you can, and just begin to breathe. When I work with clients, we go through our bodies to explore our emotions and to explore what it means to have a broken heart and an open heart and what it means to be vulnerable. And so through the body presents itself with opportunities to heal. And I always tell people that all of the answers you have to heal, to grieve, to loss, all of your answers are right here inside of you. And so right now is an opportunity for you to go inside and taking that sacred space for yourself, which is so important. So closing the eyes, and begin by taking a very deep breath in. And so before we fully begin, we're going to actually ground ourselves, which is a key to finding our open and broken heart, is to ground and to come into the body first. So I'd like you to imagine a beautiful white light traveling from kind of like the center of your body. And this beautiful white light travels all the way down your legs, all the way down into your feet and down into the ground. And this allows you to ground when you feel like you can't breathe, when you feel like you've gone through so much loss that you feel so lost you can't take another deep breath. I invite you to feel the grounding of this meditation, of this energy inside of your body. And then allowing a beautiful blue light to come up into the center of your body, all the way up and out through your head, connecting to the divine, to your essence, to your soul. And our hearts are right in the center of that. So I invite you to take your hands to your heart center and breathe into your heart center. And imagine in the center of your heart, you're pulling off a suit of armor, hardness that you've surrounded your heart with. Hardness that has shielded you from truly feeling deep love, from truly feeling love from your partner, from yourself. And just notice for a moment how this armor, this hardening, has kept you protected, maybe safe when you needed it, yet an arm's distance from those that you love. So without judgment, begin to imagine that this suit of armor is being released, just throwing it out, letting it all go. Imagine what would happen if you were willing to open to all the emotions that are present here inside of your heart, all the healing that needs to be here, all the loss that needs to be here, all that sadness, maybe fear, maybe even pure joy that we don't really allow ourselves to feel. And just opening yourself up, breathing inside and outside of yourself. And maybe asking yourself this question inside of your heart. If I were to allow myself to open my broken heart, what words would come out? If you were truly giving yourself permission to express what's in your heart, what would your heart say? And listen and speak it out loud. Let it out. And now invite some forgiveness for all the ways that you have closed yourself down, all the ways that you have broken your heart by wearing this shield, this armor. Open your whole heart, if you can, to forgiveness. And then allow love to be here. What would it look like to completely risk being fully loved by those closest to you? Imagine that you're swimming in an ocean of love. Imagine that you're risking being hurt and broken over and over again just because you love. Just like you love maybe your child, maybe an animal who's sitting right next to me, who's so easy to love. Practice with that. And slowly, slowly begin to feel that groundedness again. And maybe commit yourself to a practice of open-hearted love living as you open your eyes.
So we're going to just take a little time to do some formal healing. Try in every soul experience that we're doing to incorporate two primary things. One is to help people through loss, all kinds of loss, particularly the loss of a loved one to death, but divorce and all kinds of losses. And the other is healing. And so we'll make sure to always have a healing component as well as a memorial component. So we'll continue.
Okay. So we're going to continue with the chant Ana Elna in Hebrew, which really means please, please, something greater than us, whether it's your soul, your essence, the Divine Mother, please heal. And so we invite you to think about and transcend our hearts to those that we love that are in need of healing, that are going through loss, that are going through heartbreak, or that have, we've all lost, in our lifetimes, we've all had loss, we've all had grief, we've all needed healing. And so I'm going to invite you to open your heart really wide as we sing this chant. And just imagine you're holding the entire world in healing and love. Ana, Elna, Ana, Elna, Ana, Elna, Refana, La. Source of soul, please
And so another thing we're always committed to in the soul experience is healing and is, memorial and remembering, but also learning, right? Using our mind. We really are working with both of our clients on mind, body, spirit approaches to healing and loss, because there's just different pathways in, right, to the same place. And for some it's through body, some it's through spirit, some it's through mind. Obviously for most of us, all of us, it's a combination. And so we're going to spend a little time talking. Again, our theme is, hi Cheryl Sance, hi Julie, hi Reverend Randy, Michael Levine. It's good to have you all with us. So our theme is Valentine's Day and really reclaiming, whether you agree or disagree with the origins, don't really care, but reclaim the essence of what it could be and should be. And that is really taking this idea of Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, who said that there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. And so I really want to talk about that, because vulnerability, as I began this conversation, is really at the core of that. It's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable when your heart is broken, and to go out into the world and to expose yourself in a proper way with your heart. And, it's important.
Sorry about his humor.
I know Randy Caldwell is laughing right now. But actually it takes us to the Garden of Eden, because it's an inappropriate story. It is. Like, I am not interested in pediatric religion. And this is not a pediatric story. We've whitewashed it, but it's actually a rated R, maybe rated X story. And we're not going to go deep into it, but we are going to talk about really this, and it's a paradigm. It's a myth to help guide our lives. So Jewish, Christian, atheist, it doesn't matter. It's withstood the test of time. And so thinking about this Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve, and the original state of things is that they were vulnerable, and they were okay with that. They felt no shame. And then what happens? Deceit and lies and betrayal, half-truths enter into the garden. It's symbolized by the snake. Do you believe in walking, talking snakes? I don't. The Hebrew word nachash is snake, but it's also lenachesh, which means like to guess, doubt. And so doubt starts creeping in. And I call it the 99% rule, right? And when I'm doing couples counseling, if they're not all in, it starts to trickle down. And one of them's only giving 99%. And the other one says, 99%, I'm only giving 98%. Well, if you're only giving 98%, then everybody's protecting themselves. And you see this downward spiral, right? And all of a sudden, vulnerability becomes the wall that Ariella was talking about before. And you start building up the wall. And then what happens, right? The divine God comes to them after this. And it says that they've covered themselves. They've hidden themselves to cover their nakedness, but also to cover their vulnerability. And God says, where are you? Right? Just one simple word in Hebrew, ayeka, where are you? And they could have said, here I am, right? And I'm sorry, and I was scared, and I was protecting myself, and I want to come back to that place of intimacy, right? Intimacy. That's not what they did, right? We know the story. They ran away because the heart was, the fear and the brokenness was too painful. Didn't have to be that way if they would have answered in a different way.
I think the question, and obviously the theme tonight is vulnerability. And Brene Brown says it so beautifully, we could never replicate this. But the idea of being vulnerable is this idea, I think of it as literally walking around as if, Adam and Eve, walking around knowing that you're naked, knowing that your heart is so wide open that you're risking love, you're risking being hurt. So something that I would like to bring in is the idea of losing, loss, and grief. When you're losing somebody, when you're in the process of grieving, it's as if, at least personally I felt when I lost my mom a year ago, it's as if I was wearing my heart out on the sidewalk, like for all to see. I didn't know when I was going to cry. I cried anywhere the tears came from. So when it didn't matter where it was, I allowed them to come. And something that I teach my clients, and something that I really walked through in my own grief, was that when the body says it needs something and it has emotions in it, to really bring that up is allowing yourself to feel it and to move through it. And that's where healing comes from. So when I sat in my grief, and it took a year, and it still comes up. But when I sat in there for 1 year, I allowed my emotions to arise when they needed to arise. I apologized for my tears. There was no apology needed, but I allowed them to come up.
But it's hard. I mean, because Valentine's Day is shiny candy boxes and nice loving cards, and you're not supposed to show that. Like, that's not, when we think of love and intimacy and Valentine's Day and all this, we don't think of that.
True.
Right? In the Hebrew, I love turning to Hebrew. It's an ancient, language, and the word for vulnerability, pagia, is the same word for wound, pigual. Right? And when you're vulnerable, right, you have this wound and it's open, and everything around you says close. I mean, nature, like if you mess with a turtle or an animal, right, or things withdraw, they retract. That's a natural response.
And what's so beautiful about that is when your heart is wide open, you have the opportunity to love those around you deeper and find a greater love within yourself. So ultimately, when you get down into those layers of grief and that vulnerability and wearing your heart outside of your body, the opportunity for greater love and intimacy with those that are here, and ultimately with yourself, and ultimately with the divine. Because what happens when you sink in to your tears and your fears and all the things the layers of emotions, what never leaves, even if all the people in our lives left, what never leaves, and this is what I experienced, was divine love. That is swimming in the ocean of love.
It's true. It's just so hard because we're sitting here talking in theory, and when you're out in it, we're not. But we're doing the grief experience tomorrow here in Denver at the Mayu Sanctuary. For those who just joined us, I talked about it before. And it's really kind of Shiva, the Jewish process through grief, reimagined, and I say kind of modernized and universalized and personalized and spiritualized. And one of the things we're doing is we're wearing a garment, a black garment. We're going to rip it, tear it, because most Jews know, not most people know, that you go to a Jewish funeral and you begin by a ripping ceremony. You rip your clothes, and unfortunately now it's a little ribbon, but we're going to rip. And that's a way to ritualize it, and symbolize it. We need practical ways to remind us that you're actually normal for wanting to feel your open, wounded heart, right? And you're not wrong. But society tells you, you're wrong, put it away, pass the Kleenex box, here you go.
Right.
You might want to stop crying.
Make it feel better.
And so we got to find ways to do this work and to stay open-hearted, because it's not easy.
And I think from our personal experience and the losses that we've gone through, this has helped us help other people and really helped people open their hearts, because what's inside of there is so beautiful. And we've both sat in the center of loss, in the center of grief, in the center of unknown and not knowing what was coming next. And it's not an easy place to be. But really in the center, and this is why we help others, is because we've learned from our broken hearts to serve and help others grieve and heal is such a divine gift.
And I say all the time to people I work with, I can't do this work for you. I can help you, I can give you the tools, but what I ultimately can do is walk by you, right? Stand by your side. And I think it's Brene Brown who also talks about the difference between empathy and sympathy, right? Sympathy is coming up to a hole in the ground, looking down and seeing somebody in there, saying, you okay down there? That's sympathy. Empathy is walking up to a hole in the ground, seeing somebody down there and jumping in to help them, right? And so really that's what this is about, is seeing somebody with that broken heart and seeing them and not trying to fix it, right? Ariella tells me all the time, don't fix my broken heart, just be there.
Right.
Companion.
Can you be present in it, which was our last week's talk, present moment awareness. Can you be present in somebody's extreme joy and extreme pain?
Yeah.
And all that's in between. And that is present awareness.
And just ending with how we began with, what if we flip that script and say that the broken heart isn't the broken, right? That broken is, the only whole heart is a broken heart, right? Part of wholeness is brokenness if you embrace it, if you recognize, if you celebrate it. If we live in a culture and a society that denies it and pushes away and shames it and makes it ugly, And that's how we respond. And what we really want to do with Soul Centered and Ariela's work with healing and my work with loss and our work together in the middle of soul is to create this as an opportunity, a place, a conscious community, and have experiences to say, here it is, broken and all, and that makes it whole.
Right. Okay, so we're going to transition now, and we're going to sing a song as a way to open our hearts. And so I've said this before, we all get to our souls in different ways. And so we'll continue with the song. And
there's also the soul sheet. If you want to see the words on rabbib.com. We're going to have a new site pretty soon here. It's being worked on, but until then you can just get it on the Soul Centered page on rabbib.com, the soul sheet if you're interested. But Ariela will lead you through it.
So if you're not looking at this song sheet, why don't we close our eyes again and just take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And this song is the invitation to create a pure heart, that actually our hearts are already pure. We just have to find the space to listen, to open. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me. Create a pure heart in me, Great Spirit. Create a pure heart in me, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within, and renew a true soul within me, and renew a true soul within.
So before we end, we're going to do a version of Kaddish, which is the traditional Mourners Prayer. We really believe to take, the point of this is to take the message of it, which is, it's not about death, it's about life, it's about love, it's about light, and embody it and live it. And so it's a very simple version of this. Everybody is welcome to say it, a couple lines here. But it's really an opportunity for you, those who are still deeply, madly in love with your loved one, whoever that might be, to just continue to embrace that love, because their physical body may very well not be here, but the love very much is. And really Valentine's Day can be a way to flip that script and say, it's a day to celebrate love. And I got a whole lot of love, and that love continues on. And so just take a moment and call to your mind's eye. You can even say your loved one's name. You can even share it on here if you're so bold. And we'll really direct our energies and our prayers to you, sending you our love in this time of love.
So again, if you'd like to close your eyes and come into your heart center. Yikadav ve'ikadash Shem Rabbah Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olam Hayah Yikadav ve'ikadash Shem Rabbah Yehei Shemei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olam Hayah. May the one May the source of infinite light guide us in our life. May the one within and above bless us with your love. May the source of infinite light guide us in our life. Shalom, 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 shalom.
So before we say shalom goodbye, just I guess one more kind of explanation, a little bit about why we're doing this. Ariella began by talking about it. Maybe I'll just kind of finish a little bit, and then I think we'll perhaps end with another song. We're really focused heavily right now on guiding people through loss and healing of all types. And one of the things that we both believe in, if I can speak for us, is therapy, counseling is really important. It's important work, but it also comes up against a wall. And we really work with folks kind of where that wall is, and they need more tools, coaching tools, guidance. How do you translate this into your daily life? And it's hard when you work with somebody once a week for 1 hour, whether it's by phone or Skype or in person. It's amazing, but you need, what's the connective tissue between that and the next time you meet? And that's what the soul experience is connective tissue, right? And so it's an offering to our clients and our community that we're growing here in Denver and virtually, to have these tools and these resources and these themes and these conversations at a moment's notice, where you can just kind of come back to it again and again if you have a particular area you want to focus on. And that's what we're building right now, is a library of tools for our clients.
And I would end with saying that we all come to healing in different ways. So right here in this experience, you've felt different things, and you've either gone through the mind and listened to our study session together, maybe the heart with the meditation, or perhaps singing is your way into your essence, into your soul. And so we like to offer here many different pathways to the soul, because we're all so different.
And we're going to end with a song. We're doing now the grief experience and the soul experience out in the world. If it's interesting to you, we'd love to hear from you. Right now we're doing it in Denver, but definitely imagine we'll take this on the road at some point to do kind of retreats, experiences in different places. So we'd love to hear from you, get your feedback, and it's really just amazing connecting with y'all.
Yes. Ready?
Love is all there is.
Love is all there is. Yai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai. Love. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. Love. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. Love is all there is. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai. 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 Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai.
Love is all there is. Until next week, shalom,
Namaste.
salam, namaste, and peace.
Shalom.
Take care.